test. I'm checking out all my audio connections. We are streaming live. Do I have everything sharing? It's always a trick when you're streaming out onto 3 different platforms, but I think we're there. I think we've got it all set up today. And man, did I have some technology issues yesterday. But the amazing Dan was able to get on with me today and help get some of my stuff figured out. So next time you guys are chatting with Dan, let him know that he saved the day, as per usual. So here we are. We are rocking and rolling. We're going to get everything fired up here today, and excited to have you guys in one of our onboarding sessions here at Bookmap. And this session is really designed if you are new to the Bookmap platform and you are wanting to see how to get everything set up and how to get a few of the kind of basics out of the way and get you up and running. Maverick says, interested to see what Bookmap is all about. Well, I am excited to share with you what Bookmap is all about. One of the fun things about Bookmap is it really has, I would say, transformed, maybe revolutionized. I don't know how you can actually approach the market as a retail trader. So I'll get into that here in just a little bit. But before we do that, since we do actually go through some actual charts, some of them are screenshots, some of them are live. Since we do that, we have to actually go through the disclosures, and everything in here is for educational purposes only. I mean, really, we could even say onboarding purposes only, but nothing in here should be viewed as investment advice or a recommendation. Trading involves risk, past performance not indicative of future result, and simulated accounts are different than live trading accounts. There's a lot of differences between simulated accounts and live trading accounts. And recently, I actually saw a friend of mine. I've been friends with this guy. His name's Corey. I've been friends with him for, how long have I known Corey? 20 years probably. And I saw him on a post in social media talking about how simulated accounts can act as a trap. And they really can create kind of a false sense of security because it is not the real market. There's a lot of things you don't deal with in simulated accounts that you do deal that then when you transition to a live account, they become big obstacles for you. I still think simulated accounts are great for learning how to use platforms and things like that, but I saw his post, I don't know, yesterday or today, and I don't really think that you learn how to trade in a simulated account. You can test some things and stuff like that, but it isn't until the real bullets start flying where you actually learn how to kind of manage your emotions, optimize entries, and different things like that. So, but yeah, there is a big difference between simulated accounts and live accounts. Now, to Maverick's question on interested to see what Bookmap is all about, one of the first things that I get to do with you guys is share with you why Bookmap is so amazing. So it kind of ties really right into that. And I do use the word amazing. I think Bookmap is amazing. And when I was building out kind of my slides for onboarding, there's a few of us that will do these sessions and we all kind of have our own personal flair to them. When I was first doing this, and I first got introduced to Bookmap a while ago, but when I was first going, I'm going to do some of these onboarding sessions, I started to think about the journey that I went on as a trader. And I started back in 2001. And the other day, I have a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old. And the other day, I was talking with my 12-year-old, and I said, I forget the exact conversation, but I said, he's in middle school. I said, you know what I did not have when I was your age? And he kind of rolled his eyes, and he said, oh, let me guess, an iPad. And I laughed, and I said, no, I didn't have internet when I was your age. And that really blew his mind, that I did not have internet. When I was in middle school, there was no internet. We had typewriters in our classes. But one of the things in 2001, started to do some trading. Kind of the classic journey, though. I went to a bunch of different seminars that would come into town, traveled to a bunch, read a bunch of books, and gave up numerous times, in the first 10 years of my trading, just saying, oh, this isn't working out. Not going to do this anymore. Things of that nature. So about 10 years into it, though, I end up, I did have typewriters. We had a typing class that you could go to. But anyway, but so one of the things that happened was about 10 years into my trading, so 15, 16 years ago, I actually met a guy who had 2 seats on the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. He had 2 seats on the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Why is it saying that to me? Am I not sharing this? Yeah, I'm sharing it. I had this alert pop up. Oh, I was sharing, I just hadn't started. All right, I was sharing, but I hadn't started. Sorry, Zoom people. Sorry, Zoomers. I had shared my screen with you, but I hadn't started the webinar. We are just talking about why Bookmap is so amazing. I thought I did it all right the first time, but I screwed up. No big deal. So one of the things that happened, though, was when I met him, this is like 10 years after just struggling through trading and, like I say, giving up a bunch of times. But when I met him, he went through my trades and he said, you trade backwards. He said, that's as simple as it is. He says, you trade backwards. And I was like, well, what do you mean I trade backwards? And he said, well, you buy when you should sell, and you sell when you should buy. And I kind of got a kick out of that because I had thought that many times. What if I just did the exact opposite of what I've been doing? I would be doing so much better. So he started walking me through this market mechanics lesson, right? This market mechanics lesson, he started to show me how to break down the markets in a different way. One of the things that he mentioned to me is he said, this is going to be hard for you because you only have access to about 5% of the market. And he said, and that's one of the biggest issues with kind of he called them stay-at-home traders, with the average stay-at-home trader is you don't have access to like 90 or 95% of the data. He goes, on the floor of an exchange, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, we have way more access than you do. He says, or if you're working for a big financial institution, you have way more access to information than the average stay-at-home trader. And so we started walking through a process of how to try to break down the markets from home, how to try to figure out where things were happening and why they were happening. Why they were happening was kind of an interesting piece that he brought into this. And he asked me, why do prices go up and why do prices go down? He said, do you know? And I said, yeah, of course I know. And he said, okay, why? And I gave him all sorts of answers. To all of them, he responded, no, that's not right. And my answers were the economy, a strong economy, a weak economy, good news, bad news, good earnings, bad earnings. I had all sorts of, the jobs reports makes it go up and down. And he just kept saying, no, that is not actually what makes it go up and down. Those are just headlines. He says, those are just headlines. What actually makes, and I never forget kind of this clarifying question he did with me. He said, have you ever heard a good news announcement and then seen price go up? And I was like, yeah, absolutely I have. He says, have you ever seen or heard a good news announcement and price go down? And I said, yeah, of course I have. And he says, okay, well, if you can have a good news announcement and price can go up or down, then the news doesn't control the control prices. He says, have we ever had a good economy and prices go up? And I'm like, yeah. Ever had a good economy and prices go down? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, well then there you go. Those things don't control price. And what he went through and started walking me through on the mechanical side of things was how the law of supply and demand controls price in the market. Right? The law of supply and demand, not the theory of supply and demand, not the concept of supply and demand. The law of supply and demand controls price in the market. If there's more buyers than sellers, price goes up. If there's more sellers than buyers, price goes down, period. A lot of times as traders, we try to get all philosophical and try to predict what's going to happen based off of something. And in the end, that's usually where we end up tripping and falling. But if we just focus on the basics of supply and demand, it actually can be very, very not only insightful, but very kind of liberating because it's so much simpler. Now, getting access to this information was almost impossible. And even the market mechanics processes that I was going through and that I was trying to learn with him years and years and years ago were so difficult and they were so laborious because, again, that was before Bookmap ever existed. But Bookmap was created to level the playing field. So with Bookmap, you no longer have to work on an exchange. You no longer have to work for a financial institution to get access to the entire market. Now, in a world that is controlled by supply and demand, it is important that we understand who controls the order flow. Whoever has the most order flow, whoever controls the liquidity, essentially controls the market. Right now, banks and institutions make up, on average, about 80% of the market liquidity, and retail traders make up about 20% of the market liquidity. Right? So in a world controlled by supply and demand, if we are not paying attention to what the banks and institutions are doing, not saying, there's a very big difference between doing and saying, but if we are not paying attention to what the 80% of the world is doing, it's a lot like standing in front of this truck right here. In other words, if we as retail traders are buying and the banks and institutions are selling, we're going to get ran over the majority of the time, right? The majority of the time. Now, not only do they control the majority of the market as far as the liquidity and the order flow goes, but here is the trading revenue report off of Goldman Sachs annual report for 2024. We'll get the 2025 number in about a month. We always get it in the springtime when they do their annual report. They were profitable in 2024. 93% of the days they were profitable. 62 of the days they made over $100 million a day. Now, I've been tracking the Goldman Sachs report for a while. I probably have 10 years of these. I can tell you this is a high number for Goldman. They're usually in the middle to upper 80% range. But so knowing that, let's roll this down and make just kind of a blanket statement for the sake of example. Let's roll this down to 80%. We know they control 80% of the liquidity, and that's on average. That's not at a specific price point. At a specific price point, if they're buying 100,000 shares or 1,000 contracts, they could be 99.9% of the liquidity, right? But across the whole, 80% of the liquidity is controlled by the institutions, and let's just roughly say they're profitable 80% of the time. So if we are buying and they are selling, if we are not aligned with them, then we will probably only be right about 20% of the time. It's not that we won't ever be right, it's that we'll be right very rarely, right? We'll be right about 20% of the time. Roughly, right? Give or take. This is a broad statement. Now, how the floor traders used to align with the institutions, this is back in the day before everything was traded electronically, but this will translate perfectly into a few of the tools on Bookmap. Now, what the floor traders used to do, because he told me stories about sneaking back into these clerks' offices. So the clerks represented different institutions and the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and the clerks would get ready for the day by organizing their desk of sell orders and buy orders, so that when price came down or up to those areas, they could just fill those orders. Their job was to fill the orders. Now, if you could see where the institutional orders were, then you could just buy when they buy, and you could just sell when they sell. And that was exactly their goal. They went so far, as he told me, how one of the traders actually even purchased a deli truck that did breakfast catering and became the caterer in there, so that the caterers could go in, see where the stacks of papers were, and then report out to their owner. This is more what I picture that desk looking like. Now, they would look for that big stack of buy orders at that low price, because remember, it's all about buy low. And then this big stack of sell orders up at this high price, because it's all about sell high. Now, one of the things that happens as the market opens up is it's either going to go up or down. In this case, I'm going to say it comes down, and there's enough active selling that comes into the market to fill these orders. Now, they would look for the biggest stack of orders, this one right here, and I know it's not huge, but I had to make all these little rectangles individually on this PowerPoint slide. But they would look for the biggest stack of buy orders, because that one was where there was the lowest probability of enough sell orders to fill all of those buy orders. And if there is not enough sell orders to fill those buy orders, then there will be an imbalance in the supply and demand equation to the upside, right? So if there's 4 sell orders and there's 12 buy orders, 4 of those orders are going to pair up with 4 of those orders. And those orders are now going to disappear. And what drives price higher is actually these unfilled orders. They are still actively bidding in the market. This stack of orders right here doesn't even exist anymore. And this was one of the first ahas that I had around market mechanics, because as a conventional technical analysis trader, I was constantly looking at volume and historical price action. And if you think about what most charts are made up of, most of the chart is made up of historical price action, which doesn't exist, right? It doesn't exist anymore. So because supply equals 0, price goes up. This big stack of buy orders left behind is going to make a big move to the upside. And same thing if it was up on the supply side or up on the sell side, a big stack of sell orders is going to drive price back lower. Now, the reason why he told me I was trading backwards is because when we went through what I'd been up to, and he saw some of my notes and he saw some of my rules. One of my rules was I only buy in an uptrend. And what was an uptrend? Where I had a couple of drops and a couple of points I could connect, and then I would buy on maybe this third one. And he showed me how this was, maybe $20 a share here, and now we're all the way up to $60 a share, or $30 a share, or $40 a share. It doesn't matter, but in this case, let's just say we were $30 a share. That's a 100. I have a really cool marker that makes my penmanship actually normal, but it broke, and I don't get my new one from Amazon until tonight between 5 and 10, so I'm using my mouse today. But so this is a 100% markup from where the institutions are buying to where now I was buying. Right? So he's like, yeah, you're trading backwards because when you buy after a markup like that, you're buying at or near selling pressure. And another rule I had was I only buy above moving averages. Above an average price actually translates to high. Right? Translates to high, which again has me at or near selling pressure. Indicators, waiting for a lagging indicator to cross over. All of a sudden we are at or near selling pressure. It doesn't mean every trade that we do isn't going to work out, but it just means the higher we get into price and the longer we wait, the more expensive the investment is. And there's nothing more important than the price that you pay. I guess you could also say than also the price that you sell at, and having one be lower than the other. Right? So the higher up we buy, the lower probability of success and even the lower profitability just mathematically that we have in those positions. Now right here is just a conventional technical analysis chart. And if I drew a line just through the middle of this, I would refer to this as my wholesale pricing, and this I would call my retail pricing. And this was one of the first kind of lessons or first steps in market mechanics that he was trying to teach me. Now we know institutions bought right there, and how do we know that? Well, because they're the only ones with enough money to create that big of a move up. And we know institutions sold right there. And how do we know that? Well, they're the only ones with enough money and enough liquidity control to create that parabolic move there. They bought low and they sold high. Nothing wrong with that. Makes total sense. But the other thing that we know is there was probably a bunch of retail traders that bought right here on this breakout move. And there's actually nothing wrong with breakouts and continuation trades and things like that. Yes, we are paying a substantially higher price than the institutions did, but there can be continuation. What can't happen is there can't be continuation if there is a big stack of sell orders right here. So that retail trader comes in, they see the triangle, they set a target up in here because of some Fibonacci or something, but it's arbitrary nonetheless. Because if you can't see the buy and sell orders, then it's all arbitrary. But so when we come in here, the reason that trade didn't work out, right? As we mentioned, the reason this trade didn't work out is because there was a bunch of selling pressure in the market right here. Price broke out, hit that, came down, and then finally the sellers wiped out all the buyers, and down it went. And that trader who took that breakout trade right there probably got stopped out right there on that trade. And they were going, oh man, and then a lot of times technical analysis traders, at least like me, I used to call that a false breakout, when really it was just a bad trade. But I didn't know it was a bad trade because I didn't have access to the order flow. Well, what if that's all Bookmap does for you? And it's not. But what if that's all Bookmap does for you is help you see the order flow. So on this specific situation, you can say, that is not a trade that I'm going to take. And you move on. What if all Bookmap did for you over the next 12 months was help you eliminate 50% of your future losing trades? Like, let's not worry about the winning trades. You've got plenty of those already. But what if you could just cut back half of your losing trades? What type of impact would that have on your overall results? Now here is Bookmap's heat map. This is where we are able to show you all of the waiting orders. They are waiting to be filled in real time, just like that clerk's desk. I have even come in here and put my little stack of orders that I made right where there is an actual stack of sell orders. Same thing with this stack of buy orders, right where there is an actual stack of sell orders. And that's one of the things that the heat map shows you is where is all of the unfilled orders. Now there's two types of unfilled orders. There are passive orders, which you can see right here in our stacks. We call this passive liquidity. And then there is aggressive liquidity, which is showing up on these volume dots. And so aggressive liquidity is everything on like an algorithmic system. It's anybody putting in a market order, things like that. So you get to see those showing up in real time on the dots here, red and green. And then the passive orders are right here on our order book. Now this is what it, this is a pretty clear shot of the heat map. A couple of things that I want to point out on the heat map as you guys are using this heat map is this right here, these color changes. In fact, should we just pull this over and see what's going on? See if we can go through it on just a real-time example. So down in here, you can see we have a stack of buy orders. You can see we have a stack of sell orders. Oh, this is perfect. You can see there's a stack of sell orders right here. And everything to the left of this white line is historical. Everything to the right of this white line is current. This is the current market price. This is the current where everything's transacting. I don't have the NBBO on, but if I wanted to turn the NBBO on, I can go to visualize and give me the best bid and offer, and now our NBBO. So now you have the national best bid and offer and the last transaction running here on the right. This is all historical. But what's cool about historical is you can see there was a big stack of sell orders right here. It had been up there for a long time. It's been up there most of the day. How long has this thing been sitting up there? There's a big stack of sell orders. Price came up into that area and it has now filled those orders. And now as you see, it is not there anymore. All of those orders have been filled. It's going to take new stacks of sell orders, which we just saw here, to push the market back down. We have a stack of buy orders right here and one that's kind of jumping around right here, right? And you can see these in here. So it's going to vanish or the color is going to change, right? Or the color is going to change. So in here you can see we have unfilled buy orders. Price comes down. It fills some of those orders. And how do we know some of those orders got filled? Well, because the heat map color changed. It is a lighter color, which shows us it is a smaller stack of orders. A smaller stack of orders takes less selling pressure to push through, right? So the probability of another bounce with this small stack of orders now is very, very low. Same thing down in here. This dark red color shows us that it is a big stack of buy orders. We can also see the stack of buy orders on our order book, right? This is the actual order book. Now, the color changes. It gets a little bit lighter because the size of the stack of orders in the current market is smaller than it was historically. Now, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, and my opinion in like $79 will get you a cup of coffee these days at Starbucks. My opinion is they moved those orders up. They moved some of those orders up to make sure that they got a partial fill. They'll get some of them here and now some of them here, right? Because you can see this stack of orders actually getting bigger while this stack of orders is getting smaller. But that's just my own interpretation to what was going on in there. It could have also been they canceled some of these and a new player came in at a higher price. But so you get to see the color changing, you get to see what it is in real time, and you get to see what it was also historically. Also remember on your heat map, it is going to compare what you are looking at. And so if I zoom in, it will actually give me darker readouts than when I zoom out because it puts it all on a bell curve of what it is it compares them all. So the largest one on your screen is going to be the darkest color. The smallest one on your screen is going to be the lightest color. You can right click on your chart and you can adjust your heat map sensitivity. It's like, show me everything. No, thank you. That is a little offensive to my eyeballs. And I actually like to hide most of the levels so that I'm only looking at our biggest ones, right? I try to hide as much noise as I possibly can, right? Up in here, you have your time slices, right? We don't have a candlestick setting. And so you're really just adjusting the time frame that you're looking at. Now we're just going to look at 15 minutes. Let me get to my live chart. If you ever kind of move your chart around, this little play button right down in here will bring you back to the live chart. Up in here you have turning on your crosshairs. Right in here you have your drawing tools. So all your kind of classic, I would say, little drawing tools and stuff up here on your menu bar. And everything is also available if you right click on your chart. Now, if you do want candlesticks, you can come in here and put your candlesticks on. You can right-click on a candlestick, and you can see what settings. I'm on 1 minute. If you want to go to 5 minute, there you go. But one of the things you'll notice is look how far apart they are. This is how much data gets hidden by a candlestick. That is a ton. And that's one of the things as you get more and more comfortable with Bookmap, you really just kind of get away from the candlesticks because of how much data they hide. I mean, look at how much is behind those candlesticks. All those highs and lows, all those different stacks of orders that the average stay-at-home trader, which is even what I was doing for so long, and probably what you've even been most exposed to, we're waiting for this candle, this random time frame to close before we make a decision. and there's been 1,000 interactions in this 5-minute period, right? All of these stacks of levels that if you're just looking for like this low, yeah, we had a little level here, but this is actually that big stack of buy orders that created this move, not this one. But if you're waiting for a low or you're waiting for something like that, you just miss out on this stuff entirely. Very, very easily to miss out on so much activity when we hide it all with candlesticks. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my candlesticks. And even if you want to take this down, you can even start to go and say, I only want to look, and sometimes I do this all the time. I'll say, I only want to look at the passive market, right? I only want to look at the pending orders, just to like calm things down a little bit. And then I'll turn off my NBBO, and you can see I'm only looking at passive orders now, and I'm only looking at price rather than spread, right? It just starts to calm things down a little bit. But there's lots of different settings that you can go through to make sure that your settings match up with your trading style. Very, very powerful platform. No longer is it like a 15-step process to try to identify where an imbalance is in the market. Bookmap now just presents it to us. Now let's show you how to get set up on your Bookmap platform in case you haven't done this already. You want to log into bookmap.com. You've got your credentials there. Go ahead and hit that login button. And from here in our Bookmap portal, we're able to select your operating system. And I just actually got a whole new system the other day, so I just actually went through all this a couple days ago. Select your system, select your version. Always just select the production version. We have a beta one in there right now, but it's just things that are still being tested. So make sure you're just on the production version. We will let you know when it's time to upgrade. You'll get notifications in your app. Click that download button and it'll create an installer for you. While the installer is being created, let's go over to your Add Subscriptions tab right here. To operate Bookmap at its fullest, you're going to need 2 different subscriptions. Number 1, you're going to need your Bookmap platform subscription. So which Bookmap version are you going to be using? Digital Plus is for crypto only. If you're trading futures and stocks, you're going to need to be on Global or Global Plus. There's a lot of different features that Global Plus has that Global doesn't. One of them that I love is I can trade right off my charts on my Global Plus. You're also going to need not just your Bookmap setup, but you're also going to need your data connection. Some of you may already have a data connection through your brokerage with like Rhythmic or something like that, or another platform that you have. You can completely, especially if it's Rhythmic, you can totally just use those credentials. I'll show you where to do that in just a minute. Bookmap, CME bundle, yeah. CME bundle does give you the whole enchilada, we could say. I had enchiladas last night. The whole enchilada. Yeah, we got the CME bundle right here, so that kind of lumps everything together. If you're just trading CME, you've got the single exchange there, NYMEX, COMEX, CBOT, and then also if you're trading equities, make sure that you have the NASDAQ total view. You can get that straight off of the Bookmap setup, or you can get DX feed through Bookmap, or again, if you've got Rhythmic datas and stuff like that, you can use Rhythmic. The top 3 data feeds that we've tested and that we always are saying, use one of these 3. Number 1, straight from Bookmap. Number 2, DX feed. Not in any order. All 3 of them are phenomenal. DX feed or Rhythmic. You can connect to like interactive brokers and places like that for data, but they don't give you market by order and like total view, and so your data is limited, but they are still able to connect their data to your Bookmap platform. Here's a little cheat sheet on if you're just trading like the ES, you can just do the CME. If you want the YM or some treasuries, you need to be on the CBOT. Here's everything on for energy, for the NYMEX, COMEX, and CME for your cryptocurrencies, for your Bitcoin, etc. Now, and then also NASDAQ total view if you want to be doing, if you're doing equities. One of the things we were just doing is we were on that Add Subscriptions tab. I wanted to show you guys something. We have this Upgrades tab right here. Even if you don't have your subscription set up yet, or if you do, this is a great place to go into the Upgrades tab on bookmap.com. And we have these 3 quarterly subscriptions where they already include data. And so if you don't want to set them up individually and you just want the CME, or you just want NASDAQ total view, or you want both, we actually have quarterly subscriptions that are available for those 3. and they include the data, right? So you've got Global Plus, and you've got CME, you've got Global Plus and NASDAQ, and you've got Global Plus and both. And one of the really cool things is right now, because you are in this onboarding session, we don't give this to anybody else. We only give it out in these onboarding sessions. And they just switched coupon codes on me the other day. So make sure you use this today to make sure that it has not expired. They gave me a new code, and then they gave me a new code 2 days in a row this week. So make sure you use this code today, and you will actually get 33% off of your first 3 months on your Global Plus and futures, or your Global Plus and NASDAQ, or your Global Plus and both, as a thank you for being in this, and as a way to make sure you're getting started off on the right foot. And it helps make sure you have everything that you need. This allows you to go in and be on the Global Plus platform for about the same amount as being on Global. So you get to experience everything for the first 3 months. After that, if you realize that you only need the tools on Global, then it is just a simple downgrade to get you back onto Global. But for now, you get to have all the bells and whistles, and you get to have 33% off on that. And again, this is the only group that we share this with. You have to be in one of these onboarding sessions to get that code. And that is the code for today. So make sure you use that code. Very likely they give me a new code tomorrow. We'll see. They just kind of surprise me with them. Connecting data. Let's connect this data, and let's add some symbols to our platform. We've got our installer created. Let's go ahead and hit next, next, next. Yes, 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 I agree, and all of that fun stuff. And eventually we will be at our run options. You can see in here I've got simulated mode, I've got trading mode, and I've got replay mode. Trading mode, live trading. Simulated mode, monopoly money. Replay mode is where we can replay live trading sessions, which to me is one of the unsung heroes of Bookmap. I don't think this is like played up as much as it should be, because what happens is you can go have a trading session, and then you can record that whole thing, and you can upload that file, and you can go back and you can test different approaches in maybe a specific scenario or a specific environment. So you can test and optimize your trading plan this way. You can also go in and you can hold yourself accountable, and you can say, did you follow your trading plan? Right? It's in the heat of the battle, it's hard to do that. But after the fact, when everything's calmed down, you can go back and review your day and say, did you follow your trading plan? Number one, you can see if you need to optimize your trading plan. And number two, you can start building conviction in your trading plan, especially on those days that were maybe tougher as a trader, when you didn't do as well. You can go back, and it's kind of eye-opening for me at least, how many tough days I have when I go back and see, oh, I didn't really follow my rules. I even had a trade earlier this morning as I was trading where I was like, you know what? I have a very specific stance on the market today, but I tried, and I actually jumped in on one counter to what my position was because I got a little excited, or counter to what my bias was because I got a little excited, and it didn't work out. And I go back and I'm like, yep, I should never have even done that. And it helps you build conviction because you get to see, yeah, I broke my rules. We're going to launch in our simulated mode. Start adding some data in here. I'm starting with a blank bookmap. You're usually going to have at least a few symbols running up here. Maybe Bitcoin, the ES, Apple, stuff like that you'll have up in here. First thing we've got to do is go up to connections. If you come up to the connections tab, this is where, if you have a connection already established, this is where it will be. We don't have anything in here, so it is not established, so I have to hit configure. It's going to come over and open up this window for us, and we are going to hit this add remove platforms, and we are going to go search for the Bookmap data plugin. Once we find that plugin, we are going to click install, and that is going to connect our Bookmap platform with a couple more OKs. You can see our Bookmap data is connected. I'm going to hit OK, and now it is right up in here. It is on my, up here listed as my platform. Now I'm going to add that as a connection. The next thing that I want to do, well, I've got everything all connected. This is showing me everything set up. Here's my connection name. The next thing that we can do is we can also click right here on that top box, and there is a nice big drop-down box of other connections that we can create. We can have multiple connections in here. As you can see, if you have Rhythmic data, you would click here, and it would ask you for your credentials, and you'd be able to connect your Rhythmic data, or your DX feed, or even Interactive Brokers. Right? Inside of this box here is where we create all of those connections with our brokerage accounts, with our data feeds. It's all in here, and it's essentially that same process that we just walked through. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to bring me back up here, make sure my connection is turned on, and it is not, so I have to check that box. Now my connection is turned on. I know it's turned on because I also have this plus sign. This plus sign is what allows me to add symbols. I click on that, I say I want a stock, it's on the NASDAQ, and it's a fruit company that Forrest Gump invested in, and it's called Apple, right? And now I say, well, no, I want to look at a future on the CME, and it's the S&P 500. Once you have your selection made, you click subscribe, and that is going to connect the requested data with your Bookmap platform. Now we have our S&P 500 chart. Not a whole lot going on here, but again, this is a screenshot, right? I love to come up here. One of the first things I do when I'm setting up my platform is I come up here and I right click and I add my trading depth of market. I add my default columns, and then I have all of this information over here. I love trading off of this kind of matrix format. It's very similar to what I've used in the past, and so it's kind of my comfort zone. You can trade here, you can trade on the chart, or you can trade on your trading control panel. And again, this is for Global Plus if you're in there executing. Now up here, we've got to make sure that our trading control panel is turned on. You can trade on the chart, the DOM. Just select both. That way everything's turned on. Always make sure you have a quantity, right? Always make sure that you have a quantity, and then you are set to trade, right? Make sure we have a quantity, and we are good to go. Now we can click over here and we can sell. We can click over here and we can buy. It'll put the orders on our screens, and also we can, where'd it go? There it is. We can set up our brackets ahead of time. So if you know how much you want to risk and you know your reward, you can set all that up ahead of time and make that very, very mechanical. In fact, what was this one was a couple of days ago. We were earlier in the morning. We had a nice move up, and then all of a sudden this big stack of buy orders just showed up. Put an order in, it filled that, it took our profit right there, it put our stop right there, but it'll put both of those orders in so that you don't have to worry about position management. Price went on higher. I always have people ask me, oh, why didn't you stay in, right? Why didn't you stay in? I was like, well, because I didn't know it was going to go higher. You know, we had sellers up in here, but there's a saying that I really, really believe in when trading: pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered. Here's another, I think this was today's session. What was our price today? Oh no, this was a couple days ago. But this is one where, this is one where we had a very bearish outlook, not a bullish outlook, and we were waiting for these areas to get broken down. So as price comes down, it fills a bunch of the orders, more orders showed back up, more got filled, right? And you can actually wait for these to break down, put your order below them. So this is kind of like a breakout trade where then my mentor, who was the floor trader, he used to call this, whether it was going up or whether it was going down, he used to call this riding the wave, right? And you would ride the wave to the next stack of orders on the order book. So not only can we utilize this information for taking a bounce out of there, but we can also look for exhaustion of those areas, especially if overall we have a bearish stance on the market that day. I just love using the brackets because it simplifies and mechanicalizes and systematizes everything. But let's see, what time is it? Yeah, I mean, we're already kind of a little bit behind. Oh yeah, I mean, we're after hours. But anyway, I can come in here and make sure I have a quantity selected. Let's just zoom in on it and say, okay, I mean, you can see there was a big stack. It's kind of flickering. It's pretty much gone now. But if I wanted to buy right there, or if I wanted to buy down in here, I can come in and align myself with the order flow. Or if I wanted to get short up here, I could just come here and say, okay, create a sell order for me. There we go. And now if the market rallies up to this big stack of sell orders, this is where I'll get filled. If I want to adjust that, this is one of the things that's also really cool on Bookmap. I'll zoom in a little bit. If I want to adjust it, I'm just going to give it like 10 more seconds before I adjust it so that this is easier to see. And now I will move it. So I'm going to move my order. It won't let me move my order all of a sudden. Oh, I have to be in the live market. Let me move my order down. And see, this is the timestamp of when I submitted my order. This is the timestamp of when I changed my order, and this is what I changed it to. So it puts these lines on your chart so that you can track exactly what you did with your entries, exactly what you did with your position management, again, so that you can optimize. Tradeovate, I see your question on Tradeovate. I'm not sure if you still need data. I think you do still need a data connection, but I would talk to them and see if you have if you have a direct rhythmic that you can do. But again, I'm not familiar with every single prop firm that we're connected to. You can also go into that connections, that plugin that I showed you, and see if there's one in there. Because I know there's a bunch of prop firms that we do connect to, and I know that I've seen Tradeovate a bunch, but I don't know if we have a direct connection with it or not off the top of my head. Even like Dan that just put that message in, if you send him a message, he can pull a list, and he actually could shoot that over to you as well. But so right in here, we can move these around. I'll move it down. You'll see us just get filled, and then it put my stop in, and it put my target in, right? So fun feature on there. Now, one thing on bookmap.com, one more thing, is under education. This will take you to where we have a bunch of different videos. There is a getting started course. So anything that we covered here that you still have questions on, setting up data feeds, connecting with brokerages, everything like that, it is all right in here as well in these little 2-minute videos. So you can select a topic, you can go right to it, as well as more topics on the elements of the chart, the volume dots, the heat map, how to do your heat map settings, everything like that is available right here as well. And then we also have our market readers community, where this is actually on our Discord server. To get inside of our market readers community, and a bunch of you are actually watching this on Discord, so you've already done this. But for those of you on YouTube and Zoom, make sure you join our Discord community. Once you're in there, you'll a little verification process, and then based on your subscription to Bookmap, you'll get access to different things. Everybody has access to a number of different courses in here, courses and live trading rooms galore. One of the first ones I would recommend getting registered for is our All Markets Live order flow analysis using Bookmap with Bruce. This is every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And then on Discord, we're always doing a bunch of trading competitions. We have one going on right now where the winner gets one of our coveted blue sweaters and 3 months of Global Plus and 3 months of a single exchange. So we're always having tons of activities in there as well. But inside there, to summarize it, there is a ton of live sessions going on. We even work through some different replay sessions and replay files, different rooms for different things, breakout rooms for futures, crypto, stocks, and options, a number of different, what I call celebrity traders that are in there where you get to see their step-by-step process. You get to interact with them on a daily or weekly basis, depending on how often they stream. And then one specifically that we launched about 6 months ago, this is called the pilot program. Now the pilot program is specifically a program designed to find where the reversals are in the market, and we do weekly live trading sessions inside of our pilot program. We have a clear step-by-step process. There's templates, tools, there's even specific add-ons in Bookmap that help assist with identifying these turning points. And also in that pilot program, you're part of the market reader community. Now the pilot program, there is a requirement that you have Global Plus to be in the pilot program, because there are a bunch of tools and add-ons that are only available in Global Plus. So make sure that if you want to be in this program, that you just have Global Plus as well. Some of what people are saying about the pilot program, it's 5-star after 5-star. For the sake of time, we are way over our allotted time for this. I'm not going to read these. But 5-star review after 5-star review of how it's really helping traders get that edge inside of the markets. Normally it is, my tuition went away. It's about $1,800 for somebody just to enroll into the pilot program. It's about $500 a quarter, or it's about $200 a month. But it is actually free with your quarterly subscription. And actually, no matter what, if you're on Global Plus, you get the pilot program. But right now I've been talking about the quarterly subscriptions, and so it does also give you access to that. The quarterly subscriptions, again, are underneath our upgrades tab. They include your data. Just make sure you use the code word liquidity on checkout. Make sure you use that today before that coupon code expires, and you'll end up saving a couple $100 a month on data and pilot program. Right now, instead of $399 a month for your Global Plus and your CME, it is $267, and that also includes, though, that pilot program in there as well. that is a $500 a quarter, $200 a month tuition fee. Whew, I tried to go through the last little bit of that really quickly, realizing that we were at 47 minutes right now. Normally this is 30, 45 minutes max. Thank you all for jumping in here today. Hopefully this helps you get up and running on your Bookmap platform. Remember, once you're on your platform, once you're on the platform, if you right-click, the secret to everything is right-click, right? The secret to everything is right-click, and you will find all the tools that you need. All of your add-ons are right up here under configure. You can add them, you can create them. Everything is just kind of up inside of our settings. Remember, your data connections are right here, and then everything on the chart though is right-click, and you will find the options for it. You've got your classic cancels and flatten all buttons, but you are now off to the races. All right, happy trading, everybody. Have a wonderful, what is today? Thursday. It's Thursday at my house. Have a wonderful Thursday today, everybody. Have an amazing Friday. Have an incredible 2026. Welcome to Bookmap.